The First Lady just landed here at 11:56, so just shortly before she was expected to, around 12:05. So they are now departing the plane. All right, it's good to have you back. I think it's a lot of us in the newsroom, it's our favorite day of the week for Baby Friday, and we're welcoming Morgan from the Humane Society of Eastern Carolina to show off this cutie. You said this is Casimir?
Yes, this is Casimir.
And for a check of your forecast, of course, one thing we definitely need is rain to help with those wildfires. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Zach Holder to see if there are any rain chances in the future. Zach, I know not a whole lot, and then we're going to start heating up. That might make it worse.
Yeah, high pressure.
Right, Dave, it is an exciting night and a big crowd here for the Farmville Dogwood Festival. I'm here with the chairman of the festival committee, and we are getting ready actually to try out one of the rides. This is the spinner, so we want to make sure that we're doing a nice test just to make sure the rides are functioning properly and you know that they're not too terribly scary. All right, Dan, how's it feeling?
Oh, it feels great.
Super comfortable. Yeah, it's perfect for people of our height. All right, let me board it. Yeah. All right. It's a little snug in here, but listen, Dan, okay, there's a ton of stuff happening this weekend. Tonight is just the kickoff. How excited are you to be at this point? And we're going to talk about some of the different ways that you can give, because you have options,
You have options, but they're all easy.
They're all easy, and we know there are people who maybe don't like to make phone calls.
Yes.
Do you like placing phone calls?
After I've given myself a pep talk,
Okay.
I'll talk to somebody on the phone.
A pep talk. Okay. Well, if you do need a pep talk, then maybe texting would be a better option for you. So you can text ENC Kids to 51555. And we start with breaking news this afternoon. There is a police standoff underway in one Williamston neighborhood this afternoon. It's happening on Hatton Street near the intersection of South Big Street. A short time ago, WITN could hear a bullhorn telling the person inside to come out with their hands up. So yeah, as you can tell, those stories pull at your heartstrings. I am joined by interpreter Tanya Elgesbal Christensen, and also I have Pablo and Vilmi here with little Leo. I don't know if you can see him in the camera. Okay, you're picking him up so you can see his precious face. Tanya, thank you so much for joining me and for helping us interpret. Now, one thing I wanted to start by asking Vilmi, as she explained during the interview earlier, that the interpreters really help make their experience more comfortable and overcome the challenge of not necessarily having English as a first language. Can she talk more about that for me? The problem is county leadership is under increased scrutiny after the closure of Martin General Hospital and then the resignation of the county manager after controversy surrounding his pay increases. So Gallo and Gale are both skeptical about if they'll get anything paid back. And I don't know a lot about dog ownership, but do they have little shoes they could wear or something to help?
I suppose they could, yeah. If you really wanted to take them up there and, knowing that it's a danger for them, yeah.
Right, you could take them on some easier trails. I know you like to go to Goose Creek.
I do, yeah.
I think he just thought he could get a free ride back to the top.
Some dogs don't like the shoes though either, so that's another problem.
That's true, they won't put the shoes on. It's hard out there. Listen, it will be hot no matter what trail you take today.
Yeah, not a great hiking week.
You are the handler for Sam,
Yep.
who I feel like every time that anyone sees her walking down the halls, they feel a little bit better.
Oh yeah, she's everyone's favorite employee. Everyone knows who she is.
Having somewhere to call home is the foundation of a good life, and it's now reality for several people in Greenville thanks to community groups working together and support from Pitt County.
We have 5 units, and they're fully furnished down to the washcloths.
Tanya Foreman is a Greenville City Councilwoman and the founder of a nonprofit called CARE, or Citizens Advocating for Racial Equity and Equality.
We've been talking over the last couple of years in the community about the face of homelessness changing in our community.
Foreman says there's often a misconception that people facing homelessness aren't working hard enough, but everyone staying in this temporary housing has a job.
It's taking them longer to find somewhere to stay because apartments in our community are more and more expensive.
5 apartments off Thomas Langston Road in Greenville will serve as safe homes for people transitioning out of homelessness for up to 4 months. During that time, Foreman and others will work with residents to provide support.
We just want to make sure that when they move on, that it's long-term sustainable.
Richard Joyner has a farm in Canida. He'll help residents learn how to grow their own food.
Our goal is how do we get rid of food insecurity by not bringing food to the community, but teaching the community to grow food either by patio gardens, raised beds, or just row cropping.
One single mom who will call this apartment home for the next few months says she's been living out of a car or with family for more than a year.
It's hard trying to figure out, how you're going to survive.
She tells me moving in gives her a sense of hope.
I'm going to do everything in my power to look forward to better things for us.
We told you last year about a patient who was upset about spending 16 hours in ECU Health's emergency department waiting room.
Yeah, those long wait times can even be deadly. In 2022, a patient in Wilmington died after waiting more than 5 hours in a hospital's emergency department. Healthcare in general has struggled in the years since the pandemic, and it seems emergency departments have been hit particularly hard. Tonight, I'm sharing the story of an Onslow County man who says he waited more than 10 hours in Onslow Memorial Hospital's emergency department this past May, and his plea for something to be done so his experience is not repeated. For Jamie Willis, even something as simple as getting into a car can be a challenge. He's dealt with multiple brain injuries throughout his life. With the help of his caregiver, Donna Lee, he's able to manage. But a visit to Onslow Memorial Hospital's emergency department back in May made him fear he wouldn't.
I sat there for a little over 10 hours. There ain't no sense in that.
Willis was brought there by ambulance after his primary doctor noticed him acting strange.
But something just wasn't right with him. He was just not being able to follow commands, follow instructions. They transported him as a stroke alert.
Despite what seemed to be an emergency, Willis waited and waited.
There was numerous times that he would kind of go unresponsive, I guess you would say. He would just kind of fall over. And yeah, it was very scary. And finally, at like 5 to 10 that night, I went up and said, you know, something's got to be done.
Notes from a provider in the ED show they eventually evaluated Willis because of the long wait time. His discharge form shows he was diagnosed with an intracranial hemorrhage, in other words, a brain bleed. He was put on a hospital bed at a 30-degree angle to help with the bleeding. The experience of waiting for almost 10 hours in that condition left both Lee and Willis frustrated but eager to share their story.
I'm in hopes that this will help so somebody else's family doesn't have to go through what he has gone through.
I sat down with Rose Morgan, the chief nursing officer at Onslow Memorial. She says long wait times are hard to avoid, but there is a triage system used to evaluate patients as soon as they come in.
They see a physician or a mid-level provider right away. If they're a lower acuity, they may be asked to wait.
Morgan couldn't talk about Willis's case specifically, but said they never want patients to wait as long as he did.
Is there a possibility that while someone is in the waiting room, that their situation, even if it's not the most acute, may get worse during that wait time?
Yes, that does happen. And again, not just here, but in every emergency room there is out there. Post-pandemic, we've seen a lot of shifting in terms of folks using the emergency departments as primary care.
They've made some changes to address wait times, like adding more staff to their emergency department and more patient advocates.
They are there to also help explain things and help facilitate communication.
Even so, Morgan acknowledges that it's not a perfect system.
We also sometimes have to apologize that we have not met our patients' expectations.
Unmet expectations that can sometimes make patients like Willis feel ignored, especially during a serious medical episode.
Was there ever a time while you were waiting that you thought, I might not survive this wait?
Yeah. I said, well, they neglected me. I may not make it through this.
There are still some unanswered questions about what he went through and why. He hopes sharing his story will spark change in the way patients in their most critical state are handled.
Anything could have happened. We're just very thankful he's as good as he is.
If they come in ambulance, there's a reason why they come in ambulance. Deal with them first.
And Morgan, the chief nursing officer you heard from, mentioned that they have a nurse who's at the desk when you first go into the emergency area. She has access to video of patients in the waiting area to check on them. Willis and Lee both said, though, that no one personally checked on Willis while they were waiting.